Hello everybody, welcome back to another Square More video. Today we're doing the ratings for the Japanese Grand Prix that finished about an hour ago. It was an alright race, if you want my general opinion. There's a lot of battling and a lot of strategy decisions, especially from 3rd till 8th, 9th. And yeah, we've got quite a bit to talk about. But we'll start off with the easiest person, or probably the two easiest. Max is getting a 10 just because, fastest lap, pole position. Pretty much led every lap. It wasn't the most dominant performance, but you can't give him any less than a 10 just because, he didn't lead all 53 laps. He's washed. Perez is actually going to get a 9. Can't really ask much for much more. I think when he pitted, getting stuck behind Lando, you could say, oh, we should have been further up, but he was still only like 5 seconds off his teammate at the time. So I don't think that's going to affect it too much. I feel like he would have been closer if he wasn't undercut, which is more something good from McLaren. So yeah, the Red Bull was overall just they were clearly the quickest car. They like this track. Max likes this track. Perez is decent at this track. That's all I can really say about it, to be honest. Next up, we have the Ferrari boys. Carlos Sainz gonna shimmy down to 8. Qualified pretty well. Probably would have given him a 9 if he out-qualified Norris, but the Ferrari is definitely a much better race pace car than a quali paced car. Drove a decent race, and I can't stress this enough. The Tifosi is so divided, it's crazy. You got the Leclerc. Okay, the Sainz fans aren't helping the situation because they just keep calling Leclerc terrible all the time. Just first of all, stop doing that. But the Leclerc fans saying Leclerc deserved the podium, and it was team orders is the only reason Sainz got through. Sainz was 5 seconds ahead after overtaking him. Like, what do you want him to do? To just slow down to a crawl, let Norris get back into the fight? And then if that happened, you would have just called Sainz a bad driver. No one deserves a podium. The only reason Sainz was ahead, the only reason Leclerc was in the position he was in anyway, is because he messed up his qualifying and started 8, which is why Leclerc is getting a 7. No more, no less. You cannot be 4 positions by your teammate. You can say, oh, it's a 10th and a half. A 10th and a half is like a lifetime in Formula 1. We know that. Everyone knows this. You cannot be, just because you got, I don't even think, he's not even the driver of the day. He did do excellent with his one stop, and he did it up to perfection. I think he was the only driver who could have done it, based off just how other drivers were around him and everything. That's just my opinion. Next up, we have Norris. Norris is also getting a 7. The McLaren was not as quick as Ferrari on race pace, but he qualified amazingly. That doesn't go unnoticed. I'm doing this in race order thing because it's just easiest. Yeah, not really much to say. I don't think they got the strategy right at the 2 shop. I think Sainz and the Ferraris were brilliant on the strategy, which is a very rare thing to say. But obviously he was covering off different drivers, and yeah, he just didn't really. Yeah, he just couldn't do much by the end. Next up we have Alonso. Alonso is getting. I'm giving Alonso a 9. Alonso is my driver of the day. Getting 6th in that car is a great achievement, and after he had points taken from him in Australia, I think it's just very fair to say that, yeah, brilliant drive, qualified amazingly, especially compared to his teammate, and did amazing in this race compared to his teammate. Brilliant drive from Alonso, and he's just proven he's just the best wine ever. This man, now obviously I still don't know about the penalty, if he's going to get a penalty or not after the race. I should have probably waited a bit for that. 6. I'll be honest, I just don't think the Mercedes had it. Lewis let him through because he knew it was quicker. but just didn't qualify well. There was just nothing there. I think Mercedes messed up on their strategy. In retrospect, they'd agree that they should have done better, but that's just how the sport is. Piastri, I'll give a. Actually, no, because see, the thing is though, if Piastri gets 7, okay, right, I'm gonna shimmy up Norris to an 8. Piastri gets a 6. I think that's fair. Piastri just wasn't as on it. I think Norris likes this track as lot as well. You can compare it to like last year, and obviously, I mean, it's not obviously not been a full year, so you can't really look at growth as much for the rookie drivers. But yeah, Piastri drove a decent race. Could be elevated up to 7th instead of 8th, but we'll see. This man continuing to disappoint me more and more. But hey, we're used to it at this point. Let's be honest, no race pace whatsoever. Tyre management for both Mercedes was not good. It is, which is very weird. If you swapped like it from this year to last year, it probably would be the Mercedes drivers where the Ferrari drivers are. It is very odd, but yeah. Tsunoda 7. Actually no. No, I'll give him an 8. Tsunoda got into Q3 again. Ricciardo was much closer this time. It's just Ricciardo, didn't finish the race. But that is besides the point. I think Tsunoda had an incredible drive. Getting points at Japan first since Kobayashi's podium in 2012. Who knows? Tsunoda is definitely staying in F1 next year. I know there's a few doubts about him going into this year, but the doubt doesn't seem to be here anymore. We'll get on to that a bit later. Hulkenberger 6. Arguably should give him a 7. Had a terrible start. I don't know what happened to him. His softs blew up instantly, and that like new softs in 4 laps. But yeah, I was like looking back at. I didn't even realise he finished 11th. He was just there. It is, but yeah, another good drive. Haas is just thereabouts still. Probably more because of the lot below them. He separated himself from that ding dong battle the whole time with the Alpines and Stroll and his teammate Bottas. Yeah, he was just. I think it's just he was on such a different strategy. It just ended up paying off. Stroll 4. You cannot just Q1 elimination. I mean that's reminiscent of last year. You just can't have that. When your teammate's qualifying 5th and you're qualifying 16th with no known issues, it's just not good enough. Next up we have Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen is gonna get 5, just not as with it with Hulkenberg. I'm trying to think where he actually qualified. Hold on a second. It would be nice if I could just. I can't find the grid. Right. Okay. I'm trying to think. I think he actually was. Was he 16th? No, Stroll was 16th. He was 17th, I believe. Yeah, not as on it as Hulkenberg in qualifying, that has been kind of the theme. Yeah, they're just. I think race pace. I don't know. It's really hard to tell. A lot of teams struggled tyre management this race, and that's another thing with Stroll. Stroll had 3 pit stops. Or maybe even more. He was on the softs on like that 40, so he probably had a 4th. It just made no sense. This man, I'll give a 6. I'd like to first say well done to Kick Sauber. They did not have any bad pit stops. Isn't that beautiful? Not much more I can really say than that. The much better than his teammate, but his teammate had an abysmal weekend. We'll get on to him a bit later. But yeah, I don't think the car was good enough to fight for points. Just like these two. Ocon got into Q2 again, so he gets a 6. And had some good racing as well. Gasly, you can have I'll give him a 4. He didn't do well in qualifying. He's just not been as with it compared to Ocon, and yeah, hopefully Alpine. I mean, we got China, and then we're off to Imola. When we get to Imola, we're going to start to see all the teams properly bring the most significant upgrades in, because it's the first European race of the season. Speaking of someone who upgrades stuff, Free. Now I feel like I'm being a bit harsh on him because he is using Albon's old chassis that got absolutely destroyed. I don't know what the status on its repair job was, but what I can say is just the mistake going to the gravel trap, the Q1, not Q, practice one thing where he didn't actually really break it much, but it just doesn't help with them. Honestly, Williams need to sort the stuff out, because not having a spare chassis 2 races in a row in the tracks that they were at is not good. Like, luckily China isn't that bad for barriers. You probably spin unless you have a Buemi kind crash. You should be all right. Speaking of someone who is Chinese free, it's a bit unfair to rate him in the race because of the gearbox issue, but qualifying, just not near anyone even. He was last. I don't know what's happened, whether his gearbox was struggling in qualifying as well, and it was just worn out. But then I don't know. He's the first person to have an actual gearbox issue this season, I believe. Because Hamilton's was an oil pressure issue, and no one had such a thing in Saudi Arabia or Bahrain. Daniel Avocado, I have to give him a 4, mainly because he is. I know it's a lap one instant crash, but he was definitely more to blame for it. He wasn't really. He was in the world of Verstappen. He was just looking to the left, and it was just because he was trying to defend off Stroll. Didn't have a good start anyway. Was already dropping position. Same for Tsunoda, but Tsunoda saved himself. Turned right, pushed Albon off. Albon slit his tyre, and yeah. And then Albon I'm giving a 5. I don't know what he could have done in the race. He qualified where he did. He qualified 11th. Yeah, it could have been. Who knows? He maybe could have gotten points, but we don't know. Anyway, that is my ratings for the Japanese Grand Prix. Next time we go to China, which I think will be a very interesting race. The new car haven't been there since 2019. That's 5 years. 5 years. I don't know why I had to double check that. I was having a tragic maths moment there. Let me know what your ratings are in the description. I don't think anyone necessarily had a shocking weekend. Well done to Max and Red Bull for getting a win and 1-2 respectively. Ferrari fans, please stop fighting. It just makes no sense. Leclerc is not being hung out to dry. He just literally, there is no point in them racing. Well, no, even then they weren't even told to race. It's just Leclerc didn't really fight. What's the point in fighting if Norris could have gotten involved? Leclerc had messed up his tyres, and boom, Norris 4th, Leclerc 5th. Then you'd say Sainz is not a team. It just makes no sense. So please, and Sainz fans, please just stop riling them up. It doesn't help the case at all. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one, probably when Chelsea lose, because I don't actually remember when the next F1 race is. See you then. Goodbye.